get medical care, and then we are here. On top of all this, Ghana is part of, I think, the top 5 countries in Africa with good healthcare. Oh, yeah. I was shocked to see this.
It's not like you are shocked. We have the facilities, and we should come to understand that human needs are, we have economics term says that our needs are unsatiable. We can't meet all of them. Yeah. But at least the majority or the necessity ones should be provided. That is why if you are 5th, I'm not surprised, because we are doing better than other countries. So that one, it's a plus for us.
But if this is what we are calling better, then what's happening in other countries?
It's just like government school and private school. Exactly. If you have enough money, you would prefer private over government, right? So,
but how many people can afford the private?
They can afford. That's why they go out for medical
The leaders
treatments.
are aware that the medical care here will not be able to sustain them, so they leave the country. So why not channel some of the funds into improving our healthcare system here?
Okay, so I think, let me just add up, and I think we move to the next story.
Because we'll take the demands they are also making, because now it's been public, so that they know.
This budget, 2025 budget, Health Ministry had a second. They had almost close to 17 billion Ghana cedis, aside the Ministry of Education's Health Ministry. So I believe that, yes, the Minister for Health has been at Tamale Teaching Hospital. All the demands have been provided to him. Listening to Honorable Amsuini yesterday, he said that Minister engaged the ECG, engaged Ghana Water Company, engaged all these people to provide the resource that they need. So in the energy now, Minister was channel to solving this issue on the management level. No? We expect him to channel the same energy to make provisions, the equipment, needed resources to these various facilities. So, yes, we've seen you are doing so wonderful. We want to see another step of you where all these equipment are being provided to them. That is all what we want to
Because I think we saw images of the Kolebu surgical block circulating as to how the building was looking very, very deplorable. And how much progress has been made so far? Because I think some people took it up to renovate and things. But let's go quickly to the demands that the Association of the Doctors Association of the Tamale Teaching Hospital is making. And so I won't read the press release. I'll just go to... So the management of the hospital should ensure that the following are available for us in the short term for us to work effectively. And A, we have constant flow of water through the taps for clinical work. Then B, stable electricity supply in the hospital. C, constant supply of oxygen. D, provision of consumable items such as gloves, gauze, cotton, face masks, cannulae, sutures, syringes, disinfectants, glucometer strips, plaster, etc. Constant supply of reagents to ensure continuous availability of essential laboratory tests within the hospital. Then 100 continuous vital signs monitoring devices for all high dependency units in the hospital. Then we have 4 ventilators at the accident and emergency department, 4 ventilators at the intensive care unit, 2 ventilators at the pediatric emergency ward, 2 ventilators in the neonatal intensive care unit, 2 ventilators at the maternal intensive care unit, 2 transport ventilators, 2 transport incubators at the obstetrics and gynecology department, service and repair at the 1000L autoclave machines at the CSSD. And then in the medium term, following must be provided to facilitate our work. We have an MRI machine that does not use helium, a CT scan machine that has an infusion pump, a mammography machine, a fluoroscopy machine, and a C-arm machine at the main theater, ABG machines in all intensive care units of the hospital, and 1 at the A&E departments, as the accident and emergency department, then 2 mobile X-ray machines. Now, look at all of what Tamale Teaching Hospital is in need of at the moment in the short and medium term. Imagine all the other smaller hospitals in the other districts in rural areas.
So according to the president of Tamale, that association, he said that some of them they have, but it's not enough. So they just need to top up.
And some of them are even faulty or have fallen apart.
Okay. So I have one story I just want to say before we go to the main story. That is the MMDCs for Greater Accra is out. That was just yesterday. And the key interest is Tamale Metropolitan. we have the person of Abby Bright. So Abby Bright is now the Abby Bright. She is now, because she contested with Charles Forson and lost the contest. When you go to Ablekuma North, I'm so interested because as at now we don't know the MP for Ablekuma North.
Still,
but
wow.
we have the MC or DC for Ablekuma North in the person of Adamu Musa. When you go to a place like Gas Central, where that's Enya Sotium, that area where I stay, we have the person of, Emmanuel Adote Alote. He contested the seat of Enya Sotium, West Tobinco, and lost the contest. Okay. So he has got an opportunity. Yes. All this will be on our Facebook page for viewers too.
Great. Thank you so much. So today you don't have digitalized newspapers, huh? All right. So let's go quickly into the online news. So the first one says, Chief Justice Tokono served with 2 new removal petitions, and it says here the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono has been served with 2 additional removal petitions, bringing the total to 5 amid the growing debate over the independence of the judiciary and the transparency of constitutional processes. Sources confirm that the latest petitions were forwarded to her last week by President John Mahama in line with Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. The Chief Justice is expected to submit her formal response within the legally stipulated period. 5 petitions. What's happening?
What has she done?
What has she done?
That's what we are here
because
to
I think with the it's been stated, they said stated misbehavior and another term, one of these legal terms. I think I even saw something about her traveling somewhere in September 2023, and the costs were above the cap for the judicial officials or something like that.
That was an interview that the communication director of NDC had with one media house, and he brought out such information. And according to the law, such information should not be in the public. It should be out after the case. They know the finality of the case. So I wouldn't like to actually venture into it because we don't know whether it's really true or not. But this issue of CJ has brought a lot in the public domain. Everybody's talking about it. And I know NPP even said that if care is not taken, they might even go on a protest on this very issue, and they see it as politically motivated just to remove the CJ from office. But let me just give a quick history behind petitions that has been received over the years concerning CJs that Ghana has had since 1991. So that's the Fourth Republic. 1991, our CJ was Philip Edward Acha. And with him, there was no record found in terms of petition. In 1995 to 2001, we have the person of Isaac Kobina Aban. And there was also no record about a petition being submitted. In 2001 to 2003, we have the person of Edward Kwame Redu. And there was a petition. And the petitioner was Francis Asase Kofi. And the basis of his petition was that lying under oath about his dates of birth and also committing perjury by providing false information to a public officer. That was 2001-2003. When you go to the same 2001, as we said earlier, but this time the petition failed. It didn't succeed. The conclusion of the matter was it failed. When you go to 2003 to 2007, we have the person of George Kingsley Akwa. And there was a petition. Also, the petitioner was Bright Akwate, and the basis was that judicial interference. So he said instructing judges on how to rule on specific cases. That's on how to rule on specific cases. And there was another one that is abuse of office. That is misusing his authority in judicial matters. So that is the basis of his petition. We have another that's known as Georgina Theodora Wood. She happens to be the longest serving Chief Justice in the Fourth. You remember her? Yes, in the Fourth Republic. And the petitioner was citizens of Lahome and abroad. Lahome and abroad. And the reason why the petition was that unfair handling of land cases related to the Ga. Related to the Ga. Is it? Yes, related to the Ga people. And the petitioner was Ernest Obri Latte. So, basis of petition, as I said, stated misbehavior and incompetence. And at the end of the day, the petition failed. So you could see all the chief justices, like, they've been having issues with petition, but the end result turns out to be negative. In the person of Sophia Ekufu, who also happens to be part of the current Council of State or Council of the Elders we have, and she in 2019, the petitioner was Mensa Thompson. That was a petitioner, and at the end of the day, the petition equally failed. From here, we had a person of Kwesi Enin Yeboah, and Kwesi Enin Yeboah also had another petition, also from the same person, Mensa Thompson. And the basis was that alleged $5 million United States bribery scandal by one lawyer. And at the end of the day, petition failed. In 2023, there was a petition that is against Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokono. And the petitioner was Professor Stephen Kweku Asari. And the basis was that overstepping constitutional powers in appointing justice to Supreme Court. And also another one is judicial manipulation. And that was presented to the former president and the Council of State. At the end of the day, they said there was no issues that they found worthy to be discussed. So petition failed. And we have another one presented to President John Dramani Mahama. 3 different petitions, of which currently we don't know the basis of the petition. We don't know the details of the petition. But this time around, the Council of States have said that there are some bases that we can actually look into as Constitution demands. When the president gets to submit to the Council of States look through, then they set a committee, of which now we have the committee also out.
So we have the members of the committee here. Let me just take us through briefly. So we have Justice Gabriel Paman. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. He's the Justice of the Supreme Court. He's the chairman. Then we have Justice Samuel Kwame Edibu Esiedu, the Justice of the Supreme Court. He's also a member. Then we have Daniel Yao Domelovo, the former Auditor General. Then Major Flora Bazwanura Dalugo, she's from the Ghana Armed Forces. And then Professor James Sefa Jisa, an associate professor at the University of Ghana. So these are the names of the people that make up the 5-member committee. Then I think we had the news that our Chief Justice has been suspended. So we have someone as the next in line or in rank. He's the acting Chief Justice, and his name is Justice Paul Bafo Boni. And so this is a small profile of him. So he was born on December 26, 1956, and he brings over 3 decades of distinguished service to the nation's judiciary. His journey in the legal and service sectors has been marked by notable versatility and dedication. Before ascending to the Supreme Court's bench in 2008, he served as a Justice of the Court of Appeal, a High Court judge, and a Circuit Court judge. Now, Justice Bafo Boni's rich professional background extends beyond the judiciary, and prior to his joining the bench in 1992, he worked as a Principal Inspector of Taxes and Head of Legal for Eastern and Volta regions at the Internal Revenue Service. Earlier still, he served in the Ghana Prison Service, where he rose to become the Deputy Superintendent of Prisons and Head of Legal at the prison's headquarters. So this is our acting Chief Justice for now, as the issues are being processed.
So here are someone who asks why Justice Paul Bafo Boni. According to the law, if Chief Justice has been suspended, that is Article 144. I think you would read that one too for us.
Yes.
So when Chief Justice is suspended, the one who is supposed to take over is the next higher. We are all called Supreme Court action. And looking at the records, Justice Paul Bafo Boni is the next in line. That is why it was given to him.
Okay, so we have an audio to explain, right? Yes, we have an audio to explain. So it will be played for us now.
When you look at the Constitution, whether or not to suspend the Chief Justice is a question. It's not automatic that whenever a prima facie case is found by the Council of State and the President, the Chief Justice should be suspended. However, there are other reasons why the Chief Justice may be suspended. So, for example, we have 3 petitions, right? And they are made up of allegations which we, the public, are not aware of. Now, the question is, if you have 3 petitions, you definitely will need a lot of time to prepare your defense and your explanation. So I think, in the rule of the head of the judiciary, both administratively and then judicially, it's already a lot of work. And meetings are involved, and decisions are still to what went on in the Europe in terms of decisions to understand. But I'm only giving you some of the possible in the concentration. It could also be that element of
Right. So, Clement, you were telling us that was the...
Yeah, that's the Deputy Attorney General.
Okay.
I think he was given the reason or the possible reason why Chief Justice has been suspended. And he said that if Chief Justice is having 3 petitions on her table, then she needs more time to be able to respond to it. And if she's still in office, administrative work alone would give a lot of headache. So to him, he believes that could be the basis or the reason why Chief Justice has been suspended, so that she would have enough time to handle the issue. And if at the end of the day she turns out that nothing goes against her, then she comes back to office.
So I wanted to add to your point when you were talking about the fact that this whole suspension is politically motivated. I've seen a lot of people on social media also bashing President John Dramani Mahama that it is the NDC that want to take out the CJ so that they can make way to remove other people from office. And I want to say emphatically that the president is working according to the law, because according to the 1992 Constitution, Article 146, it provides the legal framework for the removal of the Chief Justice or any Superior Court judge. And the president is also mandated to receive petitions, that are brought against such people. And he's also mandated to refer the case to the Chief Justice who is in power. So now that the current Chief Justice is involved in the case, the one, taking over from the former Chief Justice, so
the
to speak,
suspended
Chief Justice is also involved in the case. So it's not just an individual decision. They form a committee, just as you guys said, and then they investigate into the issue. If it comes out that the Chief Justice is innocent, she goes back to office. So it is not politically motivated.
Well, we can't defend as well, because we know for some time now, since Ghana gained independence or we moved into a democracy, when a new government comes into power, you tend to see a sort of shuffling in the systems, whether it's the judiciary, the executive, parliament, even in the civil service. Sometimes people are transferred to different places, positions are created and things like that. So, I mean, it is unfolding, and if it's politically motivated, it will come out.
So
if it's not,
I even want to say that when Clement started, he gave us a record of
petitions against...
And you could see that most of the petitions were just single petitions or 2. But this is 5. She needs time to attend to all these petitions. Exactly. She can't be combining work with this. And so it is understandable. From that angle, we understand. So it's not politically motivated.
And she has also responded. She has also responded to, I think, the first 3, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So maybe she will get to responding to these other ones.
CJ? We love it.
But you see, in our record, as after independence, it's only one Chief Justice that have been removed. And that happened in 1963. And he's the person of Sir Aku Kosa. He was removed in 1963. And it has, that one, it's even have some different related story to that. So all what we want to tell Ghanaians is that let's observe the process and let's see what happens at the end of the day. I know the committee have a deadline, or the Constitution provides a deadline for them to present their findings. If it happens that the suspended CJ, is found guilty, then the law will speak. If not to, then the law will speak. So I would urge that let's all exercise patience, because as Mimi said, if we politicize everything in this country, a time is coming that if a different political party comes to power, they will turn up saying that because we appointed this person, then let this person go.
Yeah.
Per what
It's already
Mimi
happening,
said,
actually.
People were even also linking it to the fact that Charlotte Osei was even politically removed from office. So all this kind of conversation, I think we should put it aside. Let the law speak. At the end of the day, we get to know the truth so that we take this kind of politically thin, and let Ghana work. Let Ghana work.
It will only work if they are being transparent with that is happening. I don't know why the petitions are not being brought out so that we can all, attest to, so Chief Justice did this, she did that. So we can all be witnesses. It shouldn't be done.
That's per the Constitution.
It's supposed to be in camera.
Yes. So that at the end of their findings,
so we'll not put camera on them. They should just sit and talk about it.
In camera means private.
People are just calling that such section of the Constitution needs to be reviewed since we have Constitutional Review Committee going on, so that we all would know what is really happening.
And that's being said too, I think I would like to admonish our leaders and others that as much as we are trying to push transparency and accountability, we shouldn't use maybe petty issues among us or we shouldn't use petty issues among us as basis for these petitions against, because if it comes out that these petitions they all didn't go through or they failed, and it's not maybe for a lack of evidence or something, it will be obvious that, okay, maybe this person has an agenda against you. So as much as we are trying to keep our Chief Justice and people in leadership on their toes, let us be measured in some of the things we do.
Yara, please, a minute. The producer just sent this to me that I should read it again, that people will still be wondering why we've replaced the Chief Justice. So according to Article 114, Clause 6.
Is it 144?
144, sorry. The B says, until the person holding that office has resumed the functions of that office, and the office we're talking about is the Office of the Chief Justice, as the case may be, those functions shall be performed by the most senior of the justices of the Supreme Court. And that is who Clement mentioned.
Yeah,
we saw his profile. So everything that is happening is constitutionally backed. And so,
especially considering it's the judiciary, they have to act accordingly. So I think we have a comment from our very own Obi Wilson, and he says, "Good morning, dear friends. It's another wonderful opportunity to tell you how you guys are doing your best. Never doubt yourselves. Your shine will soon come." Thank you so much for your beautiful comment.
It's giving.
So yes, let's go to the last story quickly. So this one says, Galamsey, Forestry Commission vows to sanction staff aiding illegal miners. So the Forestry Commission has pledged to investigate and sanction any of its staff found collaborating with illegal miners following allegations by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. Now, the minister accused some commission officials of aiding Galamsey operations that continue to devastate the environment here in Ghana. Responding to the claims, the Deputy Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Elikem Kotoku, has affirmed that thorough investigations will be conducted and officers found culpable will face appropriate disciplinary action in line with the Commission's regulations. Now, this development follows a directive from the Lands Minister on April 21, ordering the immediate revocation of the Akonta Mining Company Limited's lease for its involvement in illegal mining activities within protected forest reserves.
I think, yes, Forestry Commission, they've done well. Nyankopon onshore one. Yes, it's a good thing because they are should I say, yes, they are in charge of the forest.
Yes.
So if you are in charge of the forest and there is issue happening, it's like you have a home and there's issue going on in your home, and you, the father of the house, you can't speak to issues, and you watch your children or outsiders come to your house to misbehave. Then when they are in paying forces away, penina wofie, that's a omoka nankarefu a. So if they are saying they are going to sanction their own people, I think it's a good cause. So this is a warning to any forest officer, Forestry Commission officer, that if you are part of the process, stop. That is point one. I back them. Point number two. President John Dramani Mahama, please, when they were campaigning, they said a lot about Galamsey. I believe they had all the solutions before they came to office. We want to see all the solutions implemented because things are getting out of hand. It was sad that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources was crying an interview, a press release that was on Monday, and you could see he was crying. It's so heartbreaking to see things like this happening in the country. So President John Dramani Mahama, any minister, any appointee, any member of parliament who is involved in Galamsey, one way or the other, please, let's sanction the person. Let's sanction the person. Point number 2, before Mimi, you comes in.
It's point number 3.
Point number 3. Minister for Land and Natural Resources. You know them. You know them. Put them, let them face the law. We shouldn't just come out and talk about it and we just let it lie. No, let's face the law. Let's make them pay for whatever they've committed. I'm even of the view that whatever they've destroyed, the land they've destroyed, they shouldn't just arrest them all. They should make them they should refill the land. They should
with what? How are they? Okay.
They are supposed to. They should reap because the money they've gotten, they can use that money. Almost and assassin for on my side because today you're going to have time with EPA.
Yeah.
EPA made us understand that they are even looking for a project where they are going to the water that has been polluted. They are going to get some chemicals so that it comes back to its original state. All this kind of costs need to be bared by these illegal miners. It shouldn't be a burden on the ordinary man's taxes. It should be paid by these illegal miners. And on this, I think the issue that happened last week at Western Region, specifically Abreu and Ninkran, I watched an interview with that's one media house with the Director General for Forestry Commission in the Western Region, and he made a point so clear that this time around when they are going to the scene, they are going with their buses. When they see you, they arrest you. There's no issue with you. They just arrest you and they send you to the prison, secondary prisons. I think that's the angle we need to go to.
I like the fact that this Galamsey issue is being attacked from various angles. It's not just the illegal miners. We know that there are people who are also aiding this illegal mining activity. And I'm so glad that it's coming out this way because these Forestry Commission people, I remember watching a documentary where I think a policeman was being interviewed, and he even said that some of the police officials themselves, they know, okay, this is a lucrative business, so they tend to also invest in it. So if now we're starting from the agencies, the agencies are just normal citizens like us who are also helping, but their hands are not as dirty as the illegal miners itself. So from there, then we get to the top. So those who are pouring funds into procuring excavators and all kinds of machinery for this, they too, I hope that the crackdown reaches them. Because I remember
before Mimi comes in, Mimi will have a lot to say. You see, the new IGP has done something, I think this week. He has reshuffled all the commanders in this Galamsey scenes. So if you are commander at that scene, you have been reshuffled, a different person has come. Yes, he has done a very good job. We expect, let's give those commanders an assignment, a task. That's if probably 3 months' time, 6 months' time, if you don't see something positive from this Galamsey activities, we should reshuffle them again. Yes, they should keep on reshuffle them so that we get the necessary results.
Okay, so Obiba is asking if Mimi is doing well. Great. Yes, you were going to say something.
I just wanted to add this little thing to it that, Galamsey has been in the news over and over and over so many years. We've spoken about, now I'm even tired. You see how relaxed I am.
Don't go worry in the doing
because it has gotten to a point that I feel we cannot trust our government institutions again. And a lot of people are losing trust in them when it comes to the fight of Galamsey, because we are finding out that most of these workers in our institutions are involved in this same Galamsey activity. Last time we also said that our leaders, those at the top, are just pushing money, pushing funds in this Galamsey activity. So now where are we even going? We are tired. I think it's high time we invited external bodies to investigate in these issues. Leaving things to government.
I don't think there's even a requirement for investigation. They know themselves. Crack down
so
on them.
They
know themselves.
How?
Anyway, we have one last comment before we
together. We have the reports of Professor Frimpong, as a man Watson, the former Minister for Environment and Science and Technology. She brought up a report. This administration can go through that report. Fourth Estate brought out an expose. They can go through this expose.
I think I saw something about an investigative journalist who made some exposés on Akunta mining.
All these things
There's a lot of resource, but let's take this last comment, then we wrap up. So this one says, Karma has indeed spoken. See what CJ did to various social media influencers when they were fighting against Galamsey last year, and now see how she's being removed from her position. Congratulations to Chief Justice Bonny. This is Asante Kweku from Alajo. Thank you for your comment. So this brings us to the end of the online and newspaper review. These people, if you give them all the time, they will talk. Thank you so much for joining us, my co-host. Next is the sports segment with Benedict Kwarteng. We will be right back.
Hello, good morning and welcome back to the Sports Update segment on your favorite morning show, KOKO Digest. I am your host, Benedict Nketiah. Here we bring you nothing but the best in the world of sports, covering all the angles, both local and international. Join me as we dive into the world of sports. Now to the headlines. Ghanaian under-15 boys squad set for CAF African Schools Tournament. Coach Sefa alleges misconduct among KOKO players. Coach Zito prioritizes win over style. Manchester United star Marcus Rashford unsure of future with Amorim at the helm. Now to the main story. Coach Kweku Danso has announced his squad for the under-15 CAF African Schools Championship, which kicks off on Wednesday 23rd April 2025. The team is comprised of players predominantly selected from the National Juvenile Colleges. Schools competitions across the country, thanks to the support of the Ghana Education Service and scouts from the Ghana Football Association. Ghana will begin the tournament against Uganda at University of Ghana Stadium, followed by matches against South Africa, Algeria in the boys' competition. The next story. Coach Sefa alleges misconduct among KOKO players. Ebenezer Sefa is worried about Ashanti KOKO's discipline. The firing of Coach Ogum highlighted the issue. Sefa believes player misconduct is a major problem. It's impacting the team's performance. Abdul Karim Zito is now the interim coach. The team aims to improve before their match against Idiana FC. Sefa believes Ogum isn't entirely to blame, citing player misconduct as a major issue. He claims players are engaging in inappropriate behavior, which is undermining the club. Now to the next story. Coach Zito prioritizes win over style. Coach Abdul Karim Zito, the new Ashanti KOKO coach, emphasizes winning matches as a priority. He replaces Prosper Nate Ogum, who was fired. Zito will be assisted by Prince Owusu, with Malik Jabir as technical advisor. Zito stated at a press conference that the club is in a critical phase, aiming to win the league, so results are the main focus over style of play. Now to our international sports news. Manchester United star Marcus Rashford unsure of future with Amorim at the helm. Rashford is unlikely to play for Manchester United again under Ruben Amorim. He's currently on loan at Aston Villa, where he's scored 4 goals, while his United contract lasts until 2028. A return seems unlikely due to disagreement with Amorim. Amorim didn't include Rashford in the team after December, citing a difference in playing styles. United now must decide where to sell Rashford or loan him again. Rashford has ruled out a move to London and wants to join a Champions League club. He's not discussing his future until mid-June. And that is it for sports. My name is Benedict Nketiah. Next is the business segment with Clement.
Good morning, welcome to the Business Update segment. I am Clement Yabankwe. Now on to our stories for the day. The Ghana Gold Board has announced the launch of licensing for trading service providers that starts yesterday, April 23, 2025. Ghanaian individuals aged 18 and above or fully owned Ghanaian companies can apply for licenses online at goldboard.gov.gh or at their Accra office.
Available licenses include aggregator, self-financing aggregator, and buyer licenses, Tier 1 and Tier 2. Other licenses, such as refining and smelting, will be available from July 2025. Applicants must read and accept the terms and conditions before applying. Gold Board also reminded foreigners to leave the local gold trading market by April 30, 2025, with violations subject to penalty under the Ghana Gold Board Act 2025 Act 1140.
Away from that, the recent decline in global crude oil prices could lead to lower fuel costs in Ghana, but it poses a serious risk to country's revenue projections. The government anticipated generating over $1 billion US from oil exports in the 2025 budget, based on a benchmark of $74 US per barrel. Currently, prices are fluctuating between $61 and $65, prompting concerns about a potential shortfalls in earnings.
This price drop is largely due to weakening global demand and fears of a recession, with Fitch Solutions cautioning that sub-Saharan Africa's oil exporting countries may face significant challenges if prices do not recover. On a positive note, lower oil prices could help ease inflation and stabilize the cedi. The Deputy Finance Minister has stated that discussions with transport operators about reducing fares in light of falling fuel prices are forthcoming.
In our next story, Ghana has achieved a key milestone in its $3 billion IMF-backed program, exceeding its gross international reserves target well ahead of schedule. According to the Bank of Ghana, as of February 2025, reserves reached $9.3 billion, enough to cover 4 months of imports. This surpasses the IMF's target set for May 2026, highlighting significant progress in the country's economic recovery. The central bank is also set to receive an additional $370 million from the IMF in June 2025, which could reinforce economic stability and strengthen foreign reserves. Now to our last story. The Bank of Ghana plans to regulate cryptocurrencies, platforms, and virtual asset providers by the end of September 2025, as announced by the Governor, Dr. Johnson Esiama. This initiative follows the anticipated passage of the Virtual Asset Providers Act, which will empower the BOG to license and oversee digital asset operations.
For digital assets is being established to enhance regulatory oversight. Ghana has experienced a surge in cryptocurrency use, prompting the Bank of Ghana to introduce draft guidelines in August 2024 that include mandatory registration and anti-money laundering measures. Dr. Asiama emphasized the need for caution, noting the volatility of cryptocurrencies and urging potential investors to proceed carefully.
This is all we have for you on Business Update segment. I am Clement Yabankwe. Do enjoy the rest of the show.
Clock TV. We are also streaming live on Facebook and YouTube as well. I am Miriam Abena Adede. It's up, lifestyle segment up here with me, and it is time for us to have a very important discussion that has to do with babies. I mean, if you have a child in the house, if you have a toddler in the house, this conversation is for you because we are about to learn how to save lives. We are here to discuss how to administer first aid to a choking baby. And so that is the conversation we are going to be having today. And my guests are reps from the ambulance service, the National Ambulance Service. They are going to help us with that form of education. And so you can get interactive with us via our streaming platforms, Facebook and YouTube, and intermittently our WhatsApp number will be displayed on the screen where you can get to send your comments to us. But before I introduce my guest, let me read something small about choking and why it is important that we have this conversation today. So every year, thousands of infants around the world are rushed to emergency rooms because of one silent and deadly death, which is choking. Now, according to the National Health Service, United Kingdom's publications on 6th September 2022 on their online website, each year thousands of under fives are admitted to hospitals following accidents, and a lot of these accidents are preventable, including one of them, which is choking. Now, unlike adults, babies are still learning how to chew and swallow safely, and the least negligence could land you running to the nearest hospital with your baby. It could result in a complete or partial blockade in their airways. Now, babies have much smaller airways, so even a little blockage can make it very hard for them to breathe. And when a baby is choking, they often can't cry, cough, or call for help, unlike adults who has a wider airways and can also signal for help. But here's the good news. Should you find yourself in such a situation, this conversation is for you because we are going to help you understand the first aid, ways you can administer if you are experiencing a child who is choking. And as gracious as we are on the show, we are going to be combining that with the CPR, which is going to help us administer first aid for adults when they are also, struggling to breathe. And so that is what we will be doing on the lifestyle segment today. Now, let me introduce my guest to you. She is an advanced EMT with the National Ambulance Service, Greater Accra, and PRO. She's in the person of Fati Lale. Hello, ma.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well, by God.
Right. Thank you so much for coming. We are expecting Mr. Daniel Asari to also join us soon. But let's start off with understanding what the National Ambulance Service does.
All right. Thank you. And then I would like to say good morning to all viewers and then thank my boss. He's on his way for this opportunity. Okay. And good morning to our CEO, Professor Ahmed Nuhu Zakaria. Okay. So about the National Ambulance Service, basically in Ghana, our EMS system is to run a pre-hospital care system where we take care of the sick outside hospital. That's an emergency. It's not any mild sickness at all, anything that is beyond control. We go in and intervene and bring the patient to the hospital. And then we are for emergency cases like road traffic accidents, factory accidents, fall from a height at a workplace or any other place that causes someone to be so injured that we have to come and then be able to mobilize the person and give interventions and send the person to the hospital. And then also we take care of standby duties, like having a large crowd at a program. We come in with some of our ambulances and personnel to come and stand by, that in case of any stampede or any ailment, we'll be able to take care of the people or the persons there. Then also we do educations. So because we want Ghanaians to know more about our work and also how to take care of basic first aid needs, we also go to institutions, we go to schools we go to organizations to organize educational training for them. So these are the major things that we do as an EMS service in Ghana. So if I say EMS, it's Emergency Medical Service.
Okay.
So worldwide, that's how it is called. But we in Ghana are called the National Ambulance Service.
Wow, you guys are really doing well for the country. And how has feedbacks or responses been far with your service?
All right. So last year we celebrated 20 years. We'll be 21 this year, and we are counting. We have a lot of successes. Some we see right at the time where we give interventions. Some too come back to all and appreciate our services that we have rendered to them. So a lot are coming in from people, a lot of encouragement, and then a lot of also input are in to help us to be able to chart a better course for the EMS in Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so good. Now let's get straight into the conversations. We are trying to learn how to save lives, how to administer first aid to especially a choking baby. We also delve into the CPR, which has to do with adults. I'm most interested in that because I wouldn't know what to do if I'm caught up in such a situation. But what would you say are some of the causes of killing babies?
Okay, so babies are small. They are fragile, so every part is small. Their throat is small. So where they swallow things through into the stomach is so small. Their airway is small. When I say airway, it is where air passes into the lungs. That's the nose and the mouth, and then the trachea. That is what we call the windpipe. Okay. They are so small that any little trigger can cause choking. So if they are not monitored and allowed to be around little stuff like toys, beads, food stuff, anything that they try to put in their mouth. And as babies grow, at a point in their development where they can move and pick things, they like to put everything they hold in their mouth. So that makes it very dangerous for them at that time. So these are some of the things that causes choking in children, especially they having the small airway, and then everything that part is so small and then so fragile that anything that is not supposed to be there that goes there can get choked.
Okay, so how can parents identify that a child is choking? What can they see? What are the signs that a parent can see to tell that my child is choking?
Right. So basically, every mother or parent who has had access with the baby always knows how the baby looks like. The moment you leave a baby here and you come back and there's a change, you should be able to see. So normally, the first thing that you should try to identify is when the child is crying. It's crying beyond. Sometimes they do cry, mostly they cry, but there are times where they cry and they are not able to cry properly, and they are trying to cough out something, or you see the baby becoming blue. The color closer to the lips, the hands, the babies, because they look pink already when they are small, we can see the bluish color in them. So these are some of the things, and the baby will not be able to breathe at that time when the choking is coming. So basically, you look at the baby crying or trying to cough excessively, or the baby's color becoming blue, or the baby not being able to breathe well. Yes.
So we'll come to the demonstration soon. I can see that your boss is preparing to join us. But what should the parents do immediately they realize that their child is turning into blue, or what should they do immediately?
So the baby is crying. If the baby keeps crying and coughing, it is good to allow the baby to cry and cough. Okay. Because that one can help bring the thing that has choked the baby out. Yeah. So mostly it is good to let the baby cry the more or cough the more. So if you are seeing these things and it's not coming, then that's when we have to intervene with the back blows and then the chest thrusts.
Okay, so
where we will do the demonstration later for you to see.
Okay, so if assuming someone just joined us and the person is just watching us, and the person just bumped into our conversation, give us a step to step, like what should a person do when they realize that their baby is choking?
All right, so mommy comes back from the kitchen where she comes to find the baby lying down or sitting and trying to cough or cry, and the baby is trying to cough or cry and it's not coming. Immediately pick the baby up and try to look into the mouth and see if there's something there. Definitely, if you're able to see, it means that the thing is closer out and can come out. But there are times that you can see, so immediately you have to pick the baby up and then start giving the interventions of the back slaps. So you hold the baby face down with the face in your palm. So you cover the face with your hand so that your hand will not block the nose and the mouth. Okay. That's the baby can breathe from. And then you give the back slap. Okay. 5 back slaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All with the baby's head turned down, not up. Because so we are trying
to hold on there for us, because we are, most of us are Ghanaians. We want to see the action itself.
Oh, okay.
And so let's take this quick break. When we come back, we'll have a demonstration of what Lale is talking about. Welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. We went for a very quick break because we wanted to make way to have a proper demonstration as to how to administer first aid to a choking baby. And we've been joined by PAEMT Daniel Asari. He is with the National Ambulance Service, and he's going to help us with, that form of education. Just as I said, we are also going to move into, getting to CPR as well. And so it is a power-packed conversation. So call your neighbor, call your parents, call your family members that we are here to save lives. It's all about administering first aid to a choking baby. Hello, say. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So before you joined, we were talking about, choking, some courses as well, and then we moved to the demonstration. Now I can see on the floor that we have a baby. Okay, so I'll name him Kwame. Now let's just get straight into the demonstration. So if a baby is choking, what should we do? The step-to-step, demonstration. Okay, so Madam Lale will take us through that.
So I'm doing it as if it's a scenario. I see my baby now. The baby is crying helplessly and cannot cough, cannot cry well. See, you can yes. Sometimes when they are inhaling, there's a sound. It means that there's a problem here. Sure. So baby crying, baby coughing, still the baby is not able to the thing out. It means immediately I have to intervene as a mother. Okay. So when you pick the baby, your palm should be on the face. On the face. This way. Okay. So that your hand will not block the nose and the mouth. So the palm on the face this way. So this is how I go. Okay. Then I put the baby on my knee. Okay. Okay, on the thigh. Okay. So that I'll get a firm grip of the baby's chest when I'm doing the thrust. So
please, I can see that you've stretched your leg. Yeah. And the baby is on it. Yes. That's also part of the process.
Yes, because I want the head to be down. Okay. If I leave my leg this way, the head is up. Oh, okay. So my leg goes down this way, and then I get the head to go down below, and then the bottom is up. Okay. Yes. So between the two shoulder blades, there's I think a little dip here. This is where we give the back blues. Okay. Not here, below the shoulder blades, but between the shoulder blades. Okay. This is where we give the back. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then quickly.
Please wait, hold on. So babies, their bones are not too strong like that. So assuming I have like a 1-year-old or let's say 6 months, and then I'm using, that force, am I not going to kill my baby?
You will not kill the baby. Okay. What is going to kill the baby is the choking. Okay. If there is no air, when we can give the baby less than 1 minute, we wouldn't like what we will see. So this is an intervention that we can do to help the baby, the thing in that is stuck in the throat to come out. Okay. This will not hurt the baby. Okay. We are giving the baby a back blow. So it's not a very, though there's a force in it, it's not too much for the baby to handle. And again, it will make the baby's chest so uncomfortable that
the thing will have to come out. And I think with this, it's only males are supposed to do it, because we know male, they are very strong and
Oh, they can do it.
They can also do it as well.
In a scenario where it's only the dad or a male that is around, we can't go wait and run around for
everyone
meals.
Can do
this. Yes, we can do it. And don't also think that you hurt the baby, so you will be going this way. We are not going to get any results from it. Okay. So we have to give the back slap, so that we'll be able, with the aim of getting the thing dislodged from the throat. Sure. So the back slap should be 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then we turn the baby this way. Okay. The reason why I put my hand behind the neck is to protect the spine, this part of the neck, so that we don't hurt the baby. So first of all, we are protecting the airway, and then now we are protecting the spine with the hand this way.
But wait, why did you do it 5 and not 3? 10.
Okay, so that is the standard that has been set for us to use.
Okay.
It's like giving a prescription.
Okay.
If a prescription is given for a medication or an intervention is given, then we have to go by that.
Okay. So with 10.
So if I do 1 and it comes out, I don't have to do 5.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought you have to complete the 5.
If it comes out, the result is already out.
Okay.
So when I turn the baby this way, I have to look and see if the thing...
Look into the mouth.
Yes.
Okay.
If I can see it. If I can see it and it's within reach, then I can bring it out with my hand.
Okay.
But if it is far and you put your hand in, you push further.
Oh, okay.
So we don't do that. When you are in a good setting, maybe you have a good first aid kit at home, you have tweezers.
Yeah, I even wanted to talk about that because with a finger, don't you think it's even going to...
Yes, the finger can push deeper.
Yeah.
So especially when someone is, especially when you are in an emergency situation, you turn into a different person altogether. You tend to want to rush in doing things. But in all these things, you have to relax.
Okay.
So if you don't have tweezers and the thing is there and your hand can reach, you still would have to remove it.
Okay.
We wouldn't want to run around and look for tweezers. So when we see it this way and we are able to bring it out, then we remove it and then our job is done.
Let me go to Mr. Sari. Mr. Sari, so have you experienced this before? Have you done this before?
Yes.
So many times.
Yeah, so it's a life-saving technique that we normally use. So what we are teaching is something that you can do. You don't need to be a doctor, a nurse. But once you have the basic knowledge at home, when it happens, you'll be able to do this intervention to save a life. Because as she already said, the anatomy of the baby is very fragile. So when it comes to the adult, the kind of force we use on adults is more than when it comes to babies.
Okay, let me come back to Lali. Assuming after the 5, the thing didn't come out, you turned, it still didn't come out. You couldn't even see the thing. What do you do? Okay,
so I've not done what I would do when I turn the baby. So let me do it. So when I turn the baby and the thing is not here, it means I'll do the chest thrust.
Okay.
So between the 2 nipples, there's also a dip on the hard flat surface. So I go this way. That one too, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pressing 5 times, we want the thing to come out. If it comes out, we are safe. Otherwise, we go again.
So if it doesn't come out, you have to do it.
We keep doing it until the baby further help arrives or the baby becomes unconscious. Then we'll start CPR.
Okay. There's a question here directed to Mr. Sari. I think there are people watching. So he said, what are the most important things to do in case of a baby emergency, such as seizures? Please ask Mr. Sari for me. This is from Elijah.
Okay. So basically, when it comes to seizures, normally it's something that happens in the brain.
Oh, okay.
You can see that certain neurological changes that happen in the brain. And you can see that sometimes the baby will be checking.
Yeah.
The baby will be checking and all of that. So normally with seizures, when it happens, we always also want to make sure that we protect the airway of the patient. So sometimes we have something we call a spatula. Within this, we put it in the mouth so that the person will not bite the tongue.
Okay, so I wouldn't even want you to go deeper because we might, shift from our conversation today. So I think that the brief education is okay, right? Or you'd want to add more, that's fine. Because we have another demonstration to work on. So thank you very much, Elijah, for bringing in your question. So Lali, let me come back to you. You were explaining something.
Okay, so I was talking about turning the baby, doing it over and over again, not stopping. You do the back slap, you do until the baby becomes floppy, like it's not able to move. It's unconscious. Yeah. Then we put the baby on a flat surface and start chest compression, doing CPR.
Okay, so we'll come to that. But assuming you've done all that you can do and the baby's still not bringing the thing out, What do you do?
All right, so by the time you see the thing is not coming and the baby has become floppy, it means you have to call emergency before you start the chest compressions.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So when the baby is unconscious, it doesn't mean that the baby has stopped breathing outrightly, but we have to give that CPR intervention to help the heart to faster. Yes, whilst help is on its way. So help will come. When you call 112, ambulance service will respond. Okay. We will talk to you whilst we are coming. Someone will be assisting you to know what to do further whilst we get there. So if you don't stop chest compressions and we get there, we'll continue, we'll help you with further interventions. Okay. And then we'll be able to save the baby.
Thank you very much, Lale, for that. Now let me move to Mr. Sari on CPR. Okay. People have been asking, like, what is CPR? What is CPR? I think it's a mouthful. That's why I keep saying CPR. So it is cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and it is an emergency, care given to people who have attacks, right? Okay, so briefly tell us this about.
Okay, so thank you. When you talk about CPR, as you rightly said, that's cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Cardio means your heart.
Your heart.
Then pulmonary is your lungs. So resuscitation is to bring something back to life. So CPR is a life-saving technique used to revive someone who is in cardiac arrest. And when we say you are in cardiac arrest, it means you are clinically dead. Your heart is not pumping, you are not breathing. Okay. So clinically.
So what are the causes?
Yeah, so some of the causes of cardiac arrest is one, as a result of trauma. Maybe you are driving and you are involved in an accident. It can be head-on collision. Okay. And once it happens like that, your heart can cease. And also when you have what we call a myocardial infarction, when some part of the muscles around your heart does not have oxygenated blood and they died off, you can have an attack. And once you have an attack, it can lead to cardiac arrest. And also high blood pressure. High blood pressure, that's what we call hypertension. Can also lead to cardiac arrest. Then also high abuse of opioids, like tramadol.
Red.
And now we have something we call red. So when we abuse those medications like fentanyl and all those, they are high, when you take it high dose, it can cause cardiac arrest. So these are some of the things that really cause cardiac arrest. And when it happens, you suddenly collapse. When you are, because there's a difference between heart attack and cardiac arrest. With heart attack, you might be feeling some weaknesses and you feel like
before you collapse.
But when it comes to cardiac arrest, you suddenly
go.
You go just like that. You'll be walking and you just collapse, and you need an urgent attention now, because if you don't get immediate attention, your chances of survival is very less.
Right. So let's just move straight into the demonstration, because I don't know. I just feel like, I'm in the position to learn so that I can save lives when I go out. Let's get straight into it.
Okay. So when it comes to cardiopulmonary resuscitation, we have guidelines set up by the American Heart Association.
Please wait. The fact that you removed your care doesn't mean that coming to perform this, you need to remove everything that's going to distract you.
Because yes, I have to make sure that I don't have any distractions. So I have to, all hands on deck. It's an emergency. So I have to attach it with seriousness. So anytime somebody suddenly collapses, the first thing you have to know is that you have to check whether your scene is safe. There's no anything that is threat to your life. So once you check that the scene is safe, then the next thing is we need to check for response. So we have something we call Dr. ABC. D is for danger, checking that there's no obstructions. Then the R is what we call response. So how do we check for response? Are you okay? You understand? So you can mention him. Hello, Mimi, are you okay? Mimi, are you okay?
No, it can't be me, please.
Then the person is not responding. So once
I don't even know what to say. So you just hitting the person like
yes, you hit the shoulders here. To check for. So once the person is not responding, you understand? And once the person is not responding, quickly, we need to also check what we call the pulse.
Okay.
Yeah, so in cardiopulmonary resuscitation, we have to check for what we call the carotid pulse. You have what we call the Adam's apple. You can either slant to the left or to the right.
Okay.
So once we do that, within 10 seconds, per the guidelines, you don't feel the pulse. Then you need to activate the emergency response system by calling 112.
Okay.
That's what you call the ambulance to come.
Okay.
So once you assume that the patient is in cardiac arrest, it's no pulse, not breathing, we are going to do what we call the CPR. Okay. And where do we press? It's at the center of the chest. There's a bone called the sternum, or the breastbone. It's in between the two nipples. So that is where the compression is going to take place. So per the American Heart Association guidelines, you have to compress 30 compressions to rescue breath. So you can do the compression at 100 to 120 within 1 minute. So you are going to push hard and fast. You understand? To avoid interruptions.
Okay.
You understand?
So just do 20.
No, I have to go by the guidelines. So I've activated the emergency, so the ambulance is on the way coming. So I'm going to push hard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30. So you will give what we call. So once I finish the 30 compression, you will give what we call rescue breath by using the ambu bag. Okay. So have you seen the chest is rising?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll be doing this for a period. You'll be doing the compression for a period because what you want to achieve is what we call return of spontaneous circulation. You want the person to come back to life.
Sure.
You understand? So as you are doing the compression and the ambulance arrives, they have a machine recorded.
Yeah.
So you can take over from me. Because when you are doing the compression, you're tired. Somebody takes over. So this machine is what we call the automated external defibrillator. It gives electrical shock to a patient.
Attach the pads to the patient as the picture shows.
So the machine is telling me that I should attach the pads to the patient. You understand? So what I'll basically do is continue. So I'll put one here. Then I'll put one here. So this machine. So this one is an artificial mannequin. So as you are doing the compression, the machine will tell you analyze the rhythm. Do not touch the patient. So when it gets to that time, I will say I'm clear. It's also clear. The reason being that when you are going to shock the patient and you touch, you also be electrocuted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because this machine carries electrical impulse inside. So the moment
attach the pads to the patient as the picture shows.
The red button, we call it the shock button. So once I press on it, the patient can either shake the body. Then once you shake the body, we can see that there's signs of life in the person.
Wow. Mr. Sari, I don't think an ordinary person can do this thing.
Yes, this one, you don't need the machine. It's only the ambulance that have the machine. What you are supposed to do is to continue your compression. It's very, very important. You understand? And normally we advise that we don't do what we call mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because of infections. What you are supposed to do is you can even get a clean handkerchief or a gauze. Then you pinch the nose, then you blow air into the person. But the emphasis is more on the compression because we want to restart the heart because you are clinically dead.
So while someone is doing the compression, someone can also be blowing the air.
Yeah, so once to rescue. So I'm here with him. So as he blew 30, then I'll give them.
But usually, I think I saw a video of, can you please put the ambulance off?
AED.
AED.
Yeah.
I saw a video of an accident scene where a gentleman was doing a compression.
Definitely.
He was just doing the compression alone.
Yes.
And then there were lots of people around.
Yeah, so we have what we call the hands-on only CPR. So as we said, when it comes to cardiopulmonary, so we have what we call CAB.
Okay.
So the most important is about the chest compression.
Okay.
Yeah, because the heart has stopped and you want to bring it back. It's the compression that will bring the heart back. And there are some certain complications. Okay. You can cause what we call refracture. The patient can vomit. But it's better to be alive, you understand, with a broken ribs than to die with what? A fresh ribs. You understand?
I see.
So this technique saves life. So we want to advise the general public that the ambulance service, we do a lot of training.
Okay.
And so when you get in touch with us, we'll come and give you.
Emphasize on the advice, but please take your seat.
Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us. Okay. So the advice again.
And what I'm trying to say is we have at our end, we train schools, churches, institutions on basic first aid because life is much important. So once you have the before the ambulance arrives, you'll be able to do the compression before we arrive. And whatever you are doing, you'll be able to save. Like we have done a lot of compressions and we may save life as possible. So everybody can be a victim of cardiac arrest, no matter, it's not a respecter of age. Okay. Infants, children, adults, anybody can. But once you have the knowledge, you'll be able to do the compression. And you don't do the compression on a sofa bed or this. It should be on a flat surface so that you can have a proper impact when it comes to the cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
So with this, you don't have to turn the person over to do the back just like you did with
No. This one, your emphasis is on the compression, to restart the heart. You understand? So once you are able to do it and the patient comes out, you put the patient on the side, what we call the recovery position. So it's a life-saving technique. Okay. It's a life-saving technique.
Lale, do you have something to add?
Yes. Yeah. So you asked a question. What we were doing for the baby was for choking. Okay. So we have choking for adults too. Maybe with time we'll come and do it here too. So with the baby, when we were turning it, because we wanted to dislodge the thing that has been stuck in the throat. So with baby CPR, we do two fingers, or we do finger encircling in the middle of the chest, so that instead of doing this thing for the baby, we go this way for the baby 30 times. Then you blow air, or we go this way 30 times, and then we blow air for the baby.
I see. Interesting. I'm still trying to figure out how, like, you know, for some of us that we are scared of breaking bones and other things. What do you have to tell us? Some of us that we are scared.
What I want to say is even when you go to the advanced countries like Europe, Canada, US, first aid training starts from what? The basic level to even at the university level. You understand? So we still have to push we are making a passionate appeal to the Ghana Education Service or the Ministry of Education so that they can have a first aid inculcated in the curriculum from the basic level. So by the time you get to the university, you'll be able to have this knowledge. What I want to say is, when the incident happened as a first aider or somebody who doesn't have any knowledge, that you have gone through this kind of training, you need to just master courage. Okay. Because a little courage that you'll be able to get, as you said, some of you are afraid, and you are able to do the compression, you'll be able to save a life. You understand? Because if somebody suddenly collapses and you are able to get somebody to do the compression for you, you have about 20% chance of surviving, rather than not getting anybody at all. You become either tomatoes or garden eggs. You understand? And so we just want to assure Ghanaians that ambulance service, we do a lot. So they should still contact us. We'll come to wherever they are, then we'll do the training for them.
What's your number again? The ambulance number?
With our emergency number, there is 112. Okay. 112. When you call, it will go to the dispatch center. But what I want to say is, it's not everybody who collapses is in cardiac arrest. Somebody can collapse, but it's what we call hypoglycemia. The sugar level is down, or the person is drunk. That one is not cardiac arrest. Okay. So if the person is in hypo, you just have to give anything sugar. Okay.
So briefly, you said when someone is drunk, or there are other causes that cause people to collapse. Now, that's with cardiac arrest. What is that one thing that I can see that I know this is cardiac arrest, then I start administering.
Yeah, with the cardiac arrest, the person will not have a pulse.
Okay.
You will not be breathing as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one, as I said, you are clinically gone.
Some people will say the person is dead. Oh.
That's what I'm saying, that it's only a doctor who can declare somebody
dead. Okay.
So we have obvious signs that we see that this person. But when it comes to cardiac arrest, once you check the patient, that's why we don't check the peripheral pulses. We go straight to the central pulse, what we call the carotid pulse. So that one, once you don't have that pulse and the person is not breathing, then we can confidently say that the person is in an arrest. Then somebody, you have to perform an intervention. But when it comes to heart attack and those, you can still have a pulse. When it's hypoglycemia, you can be breathing and all this, just that your sugar level is down. So you need to mash some kenke and put some granite and katia inside and milk so that we'll give it to you.
Interesting. Interesting.
That one is or glucose.
Some people just need food. Sometimes need is food.
Definitely.
There's nothing wrong with
that. That
it.
one is not in cardiac arrest. So don't go and be pressing people's chest when they collapse. They will be angry and even attack you because it's very painful.
Yeah.
Cardiac arrest.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's go with the guidelines.
Okay. Sure.
100 to 120 chest compression. You can do it 30 to 2 for 5 cycles.
Okay.
You understand?
You do 30 first.
Yes.
You blow air into the person. You do another.
But 30. When you are doing the compression, you suddenly exhausted. You need to stop because you can also become a patient yourself.
Right. Thank you very much. Lale, do you have something to say to parents?
About babies?
Yeah,
yes.
Babies.
So let's keep an eye on our babies. Let's watch them. When they start crawling, they go around, they can pick anything. And then let's give them solid foods at the right time, maybe after 6 months. And then you make sure the food is properly mashed. That then you take them in bits, not too much to want the baby to swallow and eat plenty. So all these things can help us. And let's monitor them. Sometimes if you're a very observant parent, you'll be able to see when your child is in distress. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you very much. Fatih Lale is an advanced EMT with the Greater Accra National Ambulance Service, and Mr. Daniel Asare is also PAEMT, Greater Accra National Ambulance Service. They were our guests for today on the lifestyle segment, and I hope you have been educated and informed as well. We don't want you to turn into garden eggs and tomatoes, so please make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And if you find yourself in a situation where you need to administer first aid, the information has been given to you, so you can do that to save lives. This is where we end the conversation on the lifestyle segment. I am Miriam Abena Adede. Up next is our birthday segment. Stay with us.
I heard today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday.
You're welcome back. Now let's do some birthday celebrations. Our first birthday celebrants. Happy birthday, Coach Kwame Amweni. We will be breaking countless bottles in no time. This is from your next of kin, Opare. Okay, thank you so much. A happy birthday to Coach Kwame Amweni. And a happy belated birthday to Sister Evelyn of Kingdom Living Ministry. I know you are watching me. A happy birthday to you. May God bless you for all that you do. Right, so up next is our main discussion with Yaira Awuno and her guests. It seems to be going to be interesting, so stay with us.
You're welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the KOKO Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our main discussion. Today, we're spending time with the EPA, and we're going to be talking about pollution control, specifically water pollution. And I have here with me, my guest is in the person of Mr. Abdallah Abubakari, the Deputy Director, Head of Laboratory Service Unit at the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Authority. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I think on Tuesday we heard it was World Earth Day, so I think we are trying to do something around, environmental protection in there. So, briefly, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Like you rightly mentioned, I want to greet your listeners and then viewers. It's an opportunity for us to be here and then discuss issues in relation with pollution. Like you rightly said, I'm Abdallah Abubakar. I'm a chemist and a water resource engineer in Bias.
Okay.
Currently, I'm a deputy director and the head of laboratory services unit of EPA. So basically, that is me.
Right.
Yeah,
so
EPA,
we used to call it Environmental Protection Agency. Now it's an authority.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the EPA?
Yeah. So normally when I get opportunity, I try to even start from where we started from.
Okay.
And then ending at where we are currently. So we started in 1974 as EPC.
Okay.
That is Environmental Protection Council. So the name, and at that time, the responsibility of EPA, the role of EPA in environmental issues was an advisory body to the government and the minister in charge in issues relation to environment. So it went through the system, and then in 1994, there was an act of parliament, which is EPA Act 490. So that act turned us into Environmental Protection Agency.
Okay.
And now with additional responsibilities as regulators, but not just an advisory body.
Yeah.
So regulators to regulate all activities that are happening within the environment and see how we can protect the environment.
Okay.
So, and then the recent one, which now we are Environmental Protection Authority. Also, another act of parliament, that is Environmental Protection Act. So this time it's not EPA Act, it's Environmental Protection Act 2025, then Act 1124. Now this one changes from protection, Environmental Protection Agency, to Environmental Authority. And this time, the object of the Act gave us additional responsibilities. So this time we regulate, coordinate, protect.
Okay.
The other main additional responsibility is that now EPA has general oversight function.
Okay.
Exercise general oversight functions in issues relating to climate change and environment. So the authority or the act came with several functions, making the body more giving us more enforcement powers to be able to protect the environment.
Okay.
So this is the little journey that we came from EPC to
wow.
Environmental Protection.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'd like to remind you all to send in your questions and comments to our WhatsApp number displayed on your screens or onto our Facebook or YouTube live stream. We will read them out loud. And when the phone lines are opened, I will do well to inform you so that you can call and ask all your pressing questions. So let's get into the conversation. Today we are dealing with water pollution mainly. So when water is polluted, what does that mean?
So when we say, let's look at pollution generally.
Okay.
Before we look at the water itself. Now, when we say there's a pollution, meaning that there are substances which in actual fact are harmful. And those harmful substances, when released into the environment, make it uncomfortable. At the same time, which pose health threats to both animals, human beings, and the environment itself. Then we say that that environment is polluted. So similarly, when water, such substances are introduced into our water bodies, which now make the water unwholesome for consumption, which make it unwholesome for the purpose for which that water is there. So, you know, water has various purposes. We have for drinking, we have for washing, we have for... So if those harmful substances are released to reduce that purpose in such a way that it can no longer use for that purpose, then we say it is what? Polluted.
Polluted.
And don't forget that once it's polluted, it means that it have impact, implications on the aquatic life, on the environment, and then the human who are going to use it for whatever purpose they are going to use it for.
Okay. So what is can you outline some of the Environmental Protection Agency's mandate with respect to water?
Yeah. So when we talk of water, there are several waters we are looking at. We have surface waters. When we talk of surface water, those water you can see with your eyes, they are all called what? Surface waters. Okay. But those that are under the ground, which you can't see, are groundwaters.
Okay.
Then, when it comes to who regulates surface water, basically is the Water Resource Commission.
Okay.
But EPA, once we are the regulators to protect the pollution aspect of that water body. There are several roles that we play. One is the coordination. You know, you have another regulator who is in charge of the surface water, but EPA coordinate with them to look at the quality of that water.
Okay.
Now, we also, as part of the statutory function of EPA, one main one in the Act is the Section 2, which the Section 3, which outlines the functions of EPA. The advisory position to the ministry in terms of policy formulations and recommendations in relation to environment in general, including water. EPA do that.
Okay.
Then the other main part that we will look at that is linked to water pollution is the Section 3.2, the E. It is related to environmental quality standards and monitoring. And that bit of it, what it means is that we have been given a function to prescribe and develop standards in relation to water, air, noise, and soil pollution.
Okay. So where are your functions, should I say, are your functions parallel to, let's say, the various ministries, or there's a sharp contrast as to maybe where your powers end and where theirs begins? Yeah,
you see, the difference is that the ministries deal with the policies.
Okay.
So the work EPA will do, if it comes to water, if it comes to if you come to, we assist in advising and producing those policies.
Okay.
We also make recommendations in relation to those policies.
Okay.
And that is, so the ministry, which is our mother ministry, don't forget, has other agencies under it. So all these, we all give an input into all policies in relation to what? Environment.
Okay.
But when it comes to as to who regulate and who implement, so the agency is the implementers of the policies.
Okay.
The policies that are, you are getting it. So if we come to the water, we prescribe the standards. And the standards are effluent standard, which we have been developed as a Ghana standards for effluent discharge. Okay. In terms of regulating the water bodies, EPA is preventing the discharge of these effluent containing those harmful substances into that water body. Because once you discharge into it and you are not meeting any standard, then it means that you are going to pollute the water body. So the development of the standard is where we begin from. You develop the standards, then these standards set a limit.
Okay, so what's the standard currently?
Yeah, so we have it's called the effluent Ghana standard for environment, that is requirement for effluent discharge, is GS 1212. Now,
GS 1212.
Okay. So what the GS 1212 does is that we have what we call sector-specific standards.
Okay.
So sector-specific here, we have mining, we have manufacturing, we have hospitality, we have aquaculture. So all these sectors are not one.
Okay.
Why? Because the waste are different. So the limits are set for each of these. That if you are into hospitality, which is the hotel and one, there are parameters your discharge have to meet.
Okay.
And definitely, you know, the characteristics of your discharge will be different from somebody who is producing a paint.
Yeah.
So you can't put them together. That's why we have sector-specific standards. It's not just one standard. There are parameters. The parameters determine the quality of the water. So when you buy any drinking water, look on it, you see certain things they've written.
Yeah. So does that mean that you also work with, say, the FDA, Ghana Standards Authority as well?
Yes.
Okay.
When it comes to, that is where the institutional collaboration comes in.
Okay.
EPA cannot work in isolation. So the Act gives us that responsibility to work in collaboration with other institutions, because each of them has their role to play when it comes to, let's say, protecting the water body. Okay. So FDA will be looking at the food aspect and the drugs aspect. So pharmaceutical company, FDA will go in there, check whatever from a product they are doing, whether it's wholesome. But when EPA go, we look at the waste water, which is coming out of their facility. Does it meet the Ghana standard before they discharge? But when Ghana Standard Authority go, they will now be looking at the equipment they are using. Are they up to standards? The product, is it up to standards? So,
okay, so
these standards are different from the effluent standards.
Okay, so what happens when the effluent standard is not meeting what has been said?
Yes, so normally what happens is that we do what we call monitoring. Okay. Effluent monitoring. So the effluent monitoring we do, you facility unannounced, you pick your sample to check according to that sector. You check the parameters, pH, conductivity, TDS. These are some of the parameters.
Okay, yeah, I think we should go into that. I remember when the Galamsey issue became more prevalent, we were hearing things like turbidity and things. Yes. So if you can take us through some of the terms, it would be grateful.
So once we measure those parameters, it tells you that, this one is not meeting these because there are limits set.
Yeah.
That is the maximum limit that it shouldn't go beyond. If you go beyond that limit, then it means that you are not complying. And non-compliance here does not mean that all the parameters have to fail. No. Even if one is failing, it means you are not complying.
Okay, so what happens when maybe one is failing?
So if it is failing, what we do is that we issue an enforcement. The enforcement will ask you to give us an action plan. Because the fact that a parameter is failing does not mean the person is not doing his duty.
Yeah.
But it might be that one, maybe the treatment facility has an issue. Or it could be that he has introduced a new product which is influencing that, that outcome. So normally we give them, you can't just go in and say, oh, you are not compliant, so we are shutting you down. You see, shutting the facility down takes a whole lot of process.
Yeah.
So normally we give you that leeway that your parameter is not meeting. So do A, B, C. Give us an action plan with a timeline. Once you've given, but if after that cordial warning, you don't take it, that's where we shut the facility down. And now until you work on what you are supposed to do, you are not, the agency doesn't open you. And not just closing, they give you administrative penalty in addition.
Okay. So I was even going to ask if you sort of issue arrests or, liaise with the police to also come and take these people into prison or something.
So police will come in if the facility is becoming, should I use recalcitrant or something, or being adamant.
Okay.
Because we also have the powers to arrest in collaboration with the police.
Okay.
But we don't immediately arrest you. It's like trying to guide you. Because the purpose is to protect the environment and to also help businesses to strive. So if, for instance, the person is doing something that is not going well, then you just go and close. Maybe it could have been solved within that same day.
Yeah.
So we do that. But when you are becoming not complying with all those directives, then that is where the enforcement comes in and closure comes in. That one we go and close you. We don't even bring police in. But when you tamper with any of those stickers or whatever we have put there, then it means that police comes in and arrest is done and you'll be prosecuted in court.
Okay.
So,
any specific initiatives that the EPA runs currently to monitor the water management in Ghana?
Yes. When it comes to initiatives, there are several of them. And when it comes to water, because I'm the head of the laboratory services, we handle those issues. So one is we do monitoring. We do water quality monitoring and effluent monitoring. So there are two different things.
Okay. So effluent is the waste, right?
Yes. Effluent is the waste. The purpose we are doing the waste effluent monitoring is that once you permit a facility, we give that facility a conditions. So those conditions, which is the schedule, will be attached to the permit. So it spell out the do and the don'ts of the permit.
Okay.
And one of it is that you are supposed to monitor your effluent every month. Then report EPA every quarter on this. So when you do that, we do an unannounced visit to get these results for ourselves. Sometimes we even share with them. We pick the same sample, we share. They also go and announce. Then we see that whether the results you are submitting to EPA is meeting or you just cook some results and then
Okay.
So that's the aspect. Then the other aspect is the water quality monitoring. That one, we design our monitoring system in collaboration with water resource commissions. There are several steps that we take with them.
Yeah.
So when it happens like that, we carry out those monitoring. We go to the various water bodies. We have locations that we have selected to pick samples all the time. Those locations only change unless there is a complaint at a specific place that we need to look at.
So do you work with back in 1970s and the rest, were you working with the town council, things like that too?
In India, you are calling them town council. Now they are not town council. They are called the special planning.
Special planning
department. They are now special planning department. What it means that because they are the planners, they plan the city, they plan to indicate that this area is industrial. You know, when they say this area is industrial, this is residential, we call them zoning.
Okay.
So they give those zoning. So if EPA want to do something, it's not sure of what the location is, we have to contact, we write to them that this person want to do ABC at this particular location. Could you please furnish us with the zoning status of that place?
Okay.
Whether it's industrial, mixed use, or residential. That is where they come in. So they do that and they give us the status. Now, the fact that they give you that, oh, the place is industrial, it doesn't necessarily mean that EPA is going to give you a permit. Do you know why?
No.
Because, if, for instance, let's say you have an industrial area with a pharmaceutical company there producing, it's already existing there. There's another company which is coming, they are coming to manufacture, let's say, cement. Look at the two.
Yeah.
The dust that will be coming from the cement definitely will be impacting on the pharmaceutical products which are supposed to be clean for you to take.
Okay, so all of those things are actually considered?
They are considered before it's permitted. So in that case, we look at what we call compactability issues, but not the zoning.
Okay.
So you don't say, oh, but the place is industrial, so why are you saying I shouldn't be there? No. But you're already, there's an existing, you can't say that existing facility should move. You are now coming in, you are coming to do. So if your activity is not compatible with the activity there, then we can tell you that, look, base is you can't be. So look for another location.
So it means that anyone who is about to set up maybe an industry somewhere needs to consult with the EPA about it.
So we have environmental impact assessment regulation. That is a legal instrument, LI 1652. Now this LI 1652 mandated the EPA to ensure that all, normally we use undertaking. The word there is undertaking. Undertaking to make it easier to include every single thing that in the discretion of the authority, it will have an adverse impact on the environment. Have to take environmental permit. Okay. So when you have to go for the environmental permit, then it means that you go through the EIA process. That's the environmental impact assessment process. The purpose of this one is that first you identify the impact.
Okay.
So you want to do, let's say you want to do a bakery, a huge one at a particular location. You have your processes. You know what raw material you are going to use.
Yeah.
You know the waste streams that is going to come out. So you have to identify all this. Then you put them into a document, which EPA will give you that whether you should go through that one. We have several documents that are developed during the EIA process.
Okay.
So when you give those info, based on that, you say that, okay, you say your water, you are going to put a treatment facility, this type there, to treat to meet standards. So we are going to hold you by your words and look at whether what you are even bringing is good enough to be able to treat.
Okay.
So even when you are building your residential apartments, which have several apartments for commercial purposes, you are supposed to take an environmental.
Okay. But what about just residential facilities?
Yeah, so when you talk of normal residential, let's say that you one person and his household, you don't require the EPA bit of it.
Okay.
But if it is more than several apartments, it seems as a commercial entity because the water, in this sense, which is the grey water and then the sewage that you are going to generate, is so much, so huge that it will going to have an impact. So we need to know how you are going to manage those waste.
Okay.
It becomes more or less like an estate facility.
Okay. So what are some of the ways you coordinate with other ministries and agencies? And what are the main agencies that you work with in terms of water pollution?
Now, because EPA cut across all agencies. Purely all agencies.
Okay.
Yes, all.
But if you can list the main ones.
Yes, I'm saying all because every activity and where it's coming from. So these activities, as of when that activity comes in, you need to coordinate.
Okay,
so when it comes to the main coordinators, when it comes to permitting, is the local government. The local government, that's the district assemblies.
Okay.
Because there's a planning committee, and this planning committee is made up of all the institutions, EPA and whatnot. So the district assembly don't give building permit without EPA. Okay. They don't give building permit without fire. They don't give building permit without land commission. So this committee or setup is the main point for all the districts. So if you are to take permit from us, you go for your zoning from the assembly, because the one you call town council, the town country planning, they are there. So they will take the zoning. It's the beginning of the collaboration. You take the zoning, then you go through it. So the local government is one of the key. Standard Authority is one of them. Water Resource Commission, I told you, they are in charge of regulating the surface water bodies. So you can't just only do your standards without dealing with them.
Okay.
So all the standards were even developed with their members present.
Okay.
And currently we have regulations which we have done, and we are even reviewing them.
Okay. So with the water pollution especially, aside the water resources, is there any other agency you work with?
Yes. Like I said, Ghana Standard Authority.
Okay.
Because Ghana Standard Authority is the only statutory body who have the authority on standards. So when you develop your standards, they are supposed to become custodian of those standards. So you can't do it without them.
Okay. I was asking in terms of other water-related companies. Let's say even Ghana Water Company.
Yes.
If you work with...
We work with Ghana Water Company. Why? Because they treat the water for us. So whatever problem they will have will start from the pollution sources, which are the industries.
Yeah.
So, and the industries are those we are coordinating to ensure that they don't discharge their wastewater or the effluent into the water bodies.
Yeah.
So you can see that when there is pollution, who is the end receiver? Ghana Water received. It is very difficult. So we work in collaboration to ensure that the pollution bit of it is not
okay. So let's come back to the scientific terms I was asking for. What are the key things that determine that this bowl of water or this water body has been polluted?
Yes. So we have several parameters. Okay. We have what we call the physical parameters. When we mean the physical parameters, they are the parameters that changes with time, then changes with the weather, they changes with, and one of them is pH.
Okay.
When we talk of pH, it's only, let me put it in the layman term, it just tell you whether your water is acidic or is basic. Then the other one we have is the conductivity.
Okay, wait. Let's come back to the pH. So what is to remind our viewers, pH, what's the correct pH water should be at?
Depending on which water you are looking at.
So let's say drinking water.
So drinking water, the pH, that one we use the WHO standards. The pH is supposed to be between 6.4 up to 8.5 or 6.0 up to 8.5.
Okay.
That is the limit. You know, the pH is a scale. Starting from, sometimes we have negative pH, but normally they start from 0 to 14. Now, when you are going from 7 is the midpoint. 7 means it's neutral. It's neither acid nor basic. So when you go beyond 7, it means the water is basic. The basic water may be good for certain aquatic life. So depending on the type of water, you may need it to be a little bit basic at that. That's why I said depending on the water. But when it comes to usage, drinking, it's not supposed to be acidic or basic. It's supposed to be somewhere between the neutral and
all right. Thank you so much. So it's getting very informative here. Going back to science class. Yes, don't forget your comments to our WhatsApp number displayed on your screen or onto our Facebook or YouTube live streams, and we'll read them out loud. When the phone lines are opened, I will also do well to inform you. Now it's time for a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on water pollution on our time here with the EPA. Hey, welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the KOKO Digest Morning Show, and we're having our main discussion time with the EPA, water pollution to be specific. And we have the Deputy Director here and Head of Laboratory Service Unit at the EPA in the person of Mr. Abdullah Abubakari, and he is educating us on water pollution and even how the EPA works in general. So, yes, where were we? We were talking about the parameters set for water pollution. Yes. So if you can take us through.
I think I've already explained the pH. So the next one is the conductivity.
Okay.
You know, when you talk of conductivity, basically for a layman to understand what conductivity is, you know, is to tell that there are a lot of ions that dissolve in.
Okay.
And based on that, you know, when you look at your basic science, where they say you can produce electricity, when you put salt here and put that one here, what it means that there are ions that move around. And when they move around for negative and positive, they generate electricity. So it means that they can conduct electricity. But what the implication means is that there are a lot of salt and other substances that have dissolved in the water, which are harmful, which will be, when you have certain quantity of it, it becomes harmful to the water. So once it's very high, for drinking water, it's supposed not to be more than 1,000 microsiemens per centimeter. Microsiemens per centimeter.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever heard that word.
Wow,
there's a lot to learn.
Microsiemens per centimeter. So once it's above that, it means that it could be harmful to aquatic life. It could be harmful to human beings. It could be harmful to any other substances.
With the word conductivity, my mind is going to electricity. Does that have anything to do with it?
Yes, that is it. That is basically means that water, if there are a lot of ions there, let's say that you have one container here, another one, you use something that can connect them. Your bulb can light.
Hey, wow, okay.
Because it's those movement of those ions and electrons that generate the electricity. So conductivity contributes a lot to these things. At certain level, it becomes harmful. It impact on them. Then when we come to, we have what we call TDS. The TDS and conductivity, they move hand in hand. Okay. The TDS is what we call total dissolved solid. So the total dissolved solid are the substances that can easily dissolve in the water. So when we say salt, it's not just the one you know. There are several salts.
Yes.
Sodium, we have sodium chloride, we have potassium chloride, we have all these are all salt. But there are substances that can come from natural source. They can come from human source due to productivity. So the more you introduce them, then you are destroying the water. Then turbidity, which normally is the most common one that you hear when they are talking of this, because it makes it very visible. The turbidity determines how the water looks in terms of the thickness of when there are a lot of sediments, there are a lot of substance dissolving, it becomes more turbid. So when you see it, now people will tell you that you see our water body is like tea. So that is the more thicker it is, it tells you the higher the turbidity. So if you take the drinking water and you take the untreated water, you see that one is cloudy and one is, the clear one is less turbid than the
So let's say you have water, like untreated water, and you put alum and those chemicals, and then it settles everything. Does that mean that the turbidity has reduced?
To some extent, yes. Why? Because it makes the thing clearer. But that doesn't mean that the water is not contaminated. Because what you have just done is that you are only particles that have dissolved in the water. You are bringing all of them together, leaving the water to be hanging. So you can have other parameters like heavy metals, contaminants that will be in the water. But at least with the visual scene, you are okay with it because you have seen it.
Yes, it's going.
So that process is called coagulation. They will coagulate all the distance. So when you go to the treatment system where you have Ghana water, they do same. where they add it to settle down. They now decant that part and now treat it to take out the contaminants.
Okay.
But when you do that in the house, you only decant the clear water, which contains other contaminants.
Oh, but we learned you boil it.
Yeah, boiling may remove, let's say, bacteria and others that are not heat resistant.
Yeah.
But boiling will not remove heavy metals and other things from the water body.
So it means that even if we have galamsey water here and we boil it, it's still not safe for consumption.
What boiling does is to take those microbes.
Okay.
That viruses, bacteria that causes certain diseases, you are taking them out. But heavy metal like mercury, lead, arsenic, they are those substances, we call them bioaccumulative. They don't dissolve.
So how do you get them out of the water?
So you can only get them out by treatment. The treatment where they have, in some of the treatment they use what we call the ion exchange system, or some also use filtration system, which may so when you go to the various treatment, they will have sand. So what the sand does is remove all the coarse materials. Then they will have charcoal, which is always called activated charcoal, which will also take out the charcoal is very good. It's an absorbent. When we say it's absorbent, it means it can absorb most of these metals out of the system. It can absorb some of the bacteria out of the system. It can absorb. So those days when people were growing up, they would tell you that if you don't want your soup to go sour, you put charcoal in it and that is it. And you know, they were not scientists, but they know that when you put the charcoal, it doesn't. The purpose of the charcoal is that it absorbs all those bacteria, all those substances that would have caused, because the soup or whatever is going sour because there is a chemical reaction. So the charcoal takes this chemical. They can't react, and then it don't go.
Okay. So I think we have a question here. It says, hello, KOKO Digest. Good morning. Wow, interesting topic, time with the EPA. Now, my question is, what actions has the Environmental Protection Authority taken to address the issue of water pollution in Ghana's major water bodies like the Lake Volta or the Densu River, and what have been the outcomes of these efforts? This question is to seek specific examples, allowing for a more detailed evaluation for me, please. This is from Mr. Dako in Kwashiman. Wow. It's a very, very loaded question. So yes, specific actions what specific actions have you taken to address water pollution in some of our water bodies?
Yeah, so the first action is the standards that we developed. They were formerly guidelines. Okay, they were guidelines which we used more than 20 years before they were developed into standards. The purpose of developing them into standards to enforce those standards, because if you look at the EPA is tackling the source of pollution. Okay, so when you have a stringent standards and you are able to enforce them, then it means that if I'm producing, I'm going to discharge into that water body, because pollution is purely naturally on the natural one. The water itself has what we call natural self-purification process. So when you see that it becomes polluted, it means that the source that is polluting has given more than it can take.
Okay.
It's like you are eating. You have your limit.
Yes.
So once you exceed your limit, you can no longer take the food. So the same way, when you put in your substance there, when you put in discharge substance into the water body, the water quickly try to readjust itself to be able to purify by that. So, but once what is coming is volumes of them, that means it can no longer hold. So the first one is the enforcement of the standards. So currently we are even we have developed a regulation. You know, the regulation help you to enforce the standard.
What's the regulation?
The regulation is an effluent regulation, which is still going through the process to be passed. If that one, because it was waiting for the act. Now that the act is passed, so we will do that. Then the other aspect is we are tackling from the industrial bit of it. So all industries that are permitted are given conditions. So you can't discharge without meeting those terms. When you do that, then definitely. There are several factories that we have closed recently. Closed them and asked them to put in their treatment system to work before what do you call it, we reopen. So they have put some measures in place, which the agency is okay with it, and then they reopen you. There are several of them. If you Google, you see EPA has closed factory A, factory B. Is there? It's on the net.
Oh, okay.
Then the other one is doing more of education.
Okay.
We have an environmental education unit. So together with the other units, we are doing more education because one, you see the pollution we are seeing, most of them are coming from us. Majority is coming from we, the citizens. So it's a collective responsibility that we need to look at. Because you see that when it's raining, you know what happened.
Yeah,
people
floods.
Carry their waste,
and then
dump it into
the
drains. They put them into the public drains, thinking that the water is carrying them. I don't know where they are thinking it's carrying them to. All water bodies that are on earth, they end up in the sea.
Yeah.
So once you put it in your house, thinking that it's going where, it will come back to you because you have metals, you have what, and these metals are very harmful. So our habit, because of that, we are doing a lot of education, public awareness, and then in the satellite communities, when you take the mining areas, those communities, they are not happy that their water bodies are being destroyed.
Yeah.
But it's just that they don't have any other alternatives.
Okay.
So, like the current government is trying to do, we are trying to put all these small-scale miners, put them together, and then they can form some of the this thing. So, education, we are talking of development of the standards, but we are talking of monitoring. We do a lot of monitoring.
Okay.
The purpose of the monitoring is for you to know the quality of the water as it is and be able to enforce certain standards. But where the sources are coming from, diffuse sources, that's where the challenges are.
Oh, you've taken my next two questions right out of my mouth. But I wanted to ask about the sources of the pollution, as you keep mentioning.
Yeah, so when we talk of sources, generally, we have industrial sources, we have agricultural sources, we have natural sources, okay? Then we have, so when we talk of industrial sources, definitely, you know, when you take all these facilities that are producing wastewater, definitely, if they discharge untreated wastewater into the water body, it contains a lot of contaminants, and then definitely they pollute it. When you talk of agriculture, we are talking about the farming activities, okay? We are talking about farming activities. You take the motorway, for instance. You see that there are a lot of people doing farming. And those farming, don't forget, they use pesticides. They use other chemicals to spray, other use fertilizers and that. Now, after using it, when it rains, all these chemicals, they don't decay. Most of the chemicals are called POPs, persistent organic pollutants. They don't decay. So you use some even use DDT to spray some of the whatever so that it doesn't go rotten. When that substance doesn't decay, some use other substances, they don't decay. They go into the system, and then when it rains, they wash into the water body. But immediately they are into the water body, they become what? Pollutants. So, for instance, you use fertilizer. The plant needs certain quantity, so it will take that. Yeah. And the fertilizer, you know of NPK. Yes. That is nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. Now, when you have a lot of nitrogen in the water, it creates a whole lot of scenery for the distance. So what will happen is that it's going to compete. There's what we call, you have a lot of nutrients. We call it eutrophication. Okay. Eutrophication, so when you go, you see a lot of algal bloom growing on the water bodies. They are also seaweeds. So they compete. Every water has oxygen dissolved in it. So once those substances are many in them and the plants are growing more than they are supposed to be, take out the oxygen in that water body. So what will happen is that the aquatic life, which need that oxygen in the water to survive, will now, the oxygen will be depleted. So definitely the water will automatically be dying gradually. And then the aquatic life will be going off.
So the water can die?
Yes, the water can die.
So what does dead water then look like? Is that what we call our waste, the effluent?
For instance, I don't know whether you've seen look at Odona. Can you call it water? Is it a water body? No, you get it. Partially it's dying as a water body.
So it's not yet dead?
No, it's more or less a dead water body.
Okay.
Because you can see, if they say you should drink that water, will you? Or if someone say he has treated that water and is giving it to you, will you be bold enough to drink it?
Oh, I'll have my own bottle.
So that's the issue, because you can see that it's polluted to the extent that the water body can no longer do anything by itself.
So in a situation like that, does the EPA just leave it that way, or you are still able to decide on something?
EPA don't leave it. We do a lot of partnership with other stakeholders. EPA is not only there just as an isolated institution. You work in collaboration with other institutions to ensure that this water body is going off. So EPA will play its role, Water Resource Commission play its role, Ghana Water play its role, and all of us together will look at how it is resolved. Because EPA will tackle the activities that are polluting it. You are getting because there are certain diffuse sources that are polluting the water.
So at the moment, just as you mentioned the Odona and and let's say the Kole Lagoon, what are some of the things the EPA is putting in place to handle such?
Currently, EPA has done some few studies on it. I have done some few studies. But some of them have their policy generated that goes through the government. There was the previous system, there was some dredging. These are some of the activities that those ones become a very national issue that it has to be tackled from the presidency. When you have to dredge that whole system, it comes with. So we need to get funding, so what we are doing is we try to collaborate with the other institutions to be able to sort out funding that will be. But when you take the whole stretch, definitely don't forget that it's under the local government. So they will do more, and then we also support them, then they are able to do something.
So what are some of your biggest challenges as the Environmental Protection Authority?
For Environmental Protection Authority, there are several challenges, but I'll just mention a few of them. Some of them are, one is the monitoring regime and getting the equipment, that is the capacity with the equipment that you need to be able to handle some of these issues when they come into to be able to handle them. Logistics are lacking sometimes, so you find it difficult to be able to go out to even cross-check what is happening and so on. So equipment-wise is handicapped. Then the other challenge is human behavior. Human behavior. You see, we are all talking about illegal mining. But immediately something is labeled as illegal, it means that thing was not supposed to be done. You are getting it. But somebody is hiding somewhere, doing it. You only see the end result. You are getting it. So it's a challenge. And you can't just get our EPA, go to the bush, and you can see what goes. Even with armed military men, you see what the kind of things they encounter. So in that sense, it becomes a national security issue because it's a threat to our health, it's a threat to our security, it's a threat to our economy. You know that. Why? Because the water, Ghana Water need to use a lot of chemicals able to treat it for you and I to drink.
So at the moment, is it possible, does Ghana have the facilities or equipment or even resources to treat some of these majorly polluted water bodies in our country?
treating the whole water body is not possible. You can't treat the water body.
But okay, quantities or something.
It's when, for instance, if we say Ghana Water is treating, they are not treating the river as it is or the stream as it is. It's the quantity they take and treat for us. So the only way for us to treat the water body is to tackle the sources of what? Pollution, which that is what currently we are the fight for this, the fight for galamsey and all those things. Because once you treat the source of pollution, you have treated the water body. But as it is, you can't go into the water body that you are treating the water body. Maybe if it is more silted, then that one you can do dredging and others to make it clear, to make way for self-purification. But you tackle the industries, we are tackling the industries that are generating those waste and discharging into the water body. But the other source, which is maybe natural sources, like something that are very difficult to control, is the runoffs. Runoff from agricultural fields, from drains, from... So you see water at a place, doesn't mean the water starts from there. It's coming from... Some of the waters come all the way from Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, and the rest. You are getting it, and they are coming to Ghana. So even they could be polluted from that end. So with those ones, more or less, they are unseen sources that you'll be able to tackle. But you have to be ensured that you don't also pollute your side of the water to make it to burden the one who is treating it for you and I to drink.
Okay. So we have a question here. This one is asking, so Kusi from Tamale says, what gaps exist in the current policies and regulations related to water pollution and how can they be addressed?
Yeah, when it comes to gaps, like we said, sometimes with most of the major areas, I will say that there's lack of political will. Very important. Because if you can see, the gap is that the government will be trying to do all that he could to ensure that certain things are done. But to get to a point, you see that it's slack. So when that will is not strong enough to say that, no, let's go to the area and say, no, this is no-go area. Nobody should go there again. Automatically, some of these pollution problems will go. The other aspect is whereby maybe the human behavior is becoming more. You see, everybody is talking about it, but we are not assessing ourselves. There are countries you can't just urinate anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, my sister. So these are some of the things that they are challenges that you may not be able to address them fully. But I'm sure gradually. Now we are looking at, with the industries, there is a PPP program, which is a private-public partnership program. What the program is looking at, for us to be able to get real-time monitoring. The monitoring that we do currently is you take your equipment there, go and put it in the water, then know what the quality is. Or take the equipment there, go and put it at the... You go to the factory, fetch their wastewater, put it in it, and know. So what we are doing now is that we are looking at continuous monitoring or a real-time monitoring. The real-time monitoring so the program you are doing is a real-time because people are seeing it immediately you are doing it. So the same way, what the PPP seek to do is that you look at this industrial facility. They will install the equipment at your facility. And then the saver is at the head of the EPA. So there are directors that have access to the saver. So if you want to know what is currently happening, let's say at Clocksack, there are waste that is coming out. If the equipment is fixed at your washroom, waste that is going out is fixed there, then you click the canal parameters. Now it means that the director can sit in the office and call, hey, madam, your wastewater is going off. Then they will quickly rectify it.
Okay.
So this is where we are going, trying to see how best. So definitely, if it's successful, then the water bodies, especially closer to the treatment systems, that is the Ghana Water, their treatment system, we can put equipment there, so that it can be given the real time this thing. Then you can take an action immediately. You see that the pollution is becoming more.
So do you have, let's say, agencies all over the country where maybe if I go to some very remote area, there's this place is called EPA agency where they are also handling issues like this?
EPA has about 18 regional offices. Okay. They are 18 because our regions are not to the statutory region, which is 16. So in Accra and Tema, we have we have a region in Tema and we have region in Accra. So making those ones two before the head office itself. So we have more or less 3 offices
here in Accra.
In Accra. So you have 16 of those regional, 18 of those regional offices. Now, we have zonal or area offices, which are scattered across. So the current administration is also looking at bringing in more district offices. But currently, if you go to, let's say, you go to Tamale, and maybe Tamale, the regional office will be there. But you can have, we have Bimbila, we have an area office there. I think Wolense, we have area office there. So you can have those ones, but not the various districts. They are area offices.
So do they also have professionals who embark on the same activities that office does?
Yes. You know what happens at the region? The region does almost all what is happening in the head office. Because when you are to start any project, start from the region, the area is coming from. They started from the. It's only the signing that comes into the office.
So in the wrapping up, in the areas that the Galamsey is prevalent, what are some of the reports that come to the head office and maybe some reforms that they would also suggest?
You know, with the Galamsey areas, like we said, we have a lot of offices there. You know, there's office, Takoradi is there. You have Takwa, there's an office there. Western North and Co, there are offices there. So most of the time, you know, those issues, the mining, because it's Galamsey, you know, there are difference between illegal
mining and then
illegal mining and small scale mining. But most people always blend the two together. The small scale are those who come for licenses to operate. Now, once the person is permitted, it means that he's going to be controlled. The person will be given conditions to follow. So if the person is not following those conditions, it becomes illegal. So even a large scale can be doing an illegal mining. You are getting it. Immediately he's doing something contrary to what he was given to do. Then he's doing an illegal
So
mining.
in relation to the water bodies.
So in relation to the water bodies, they are taxed to also monitor the water bodies. You are discharging your waste, which according to, let's say, company A, his effluent or his wastewater meets these standards before you discharge. So before you discharge, you have to measure the quality of the water. And then when you discharge, so all these reports are given to the mining unit for them to look at. If they are not comfortable with some of them, like I said, we also do a follow-up monitoring. We go and we realize that no, the information you are giving us are not right. You'll be given a fine. And at the same time, if you continue to do so, they shut you down. Yes.
So I'm also asking, based on the water, that do they also go and check how bad or how much the situation has deteriorated?
Which of the people?
So
are you talking about EPA?
EPA, yes.
Yes.
Do you go and check with the maybe River Pra and Cobra?
Yes,
and things?
River Pra. We just did monitoring on River Pra. That was recently. We are getting it, and even the report there, yes, it's yet to be completed. And then that. So we do that one. But you know, like I said, there are challenges with equipment, logistics, and sometimes you can't have all the regions. They are supposed to have at least some basic equipment so that when they are complaining, they can go. But currently, they don't really have much of that. So most of the time, they fall on head office to assist them in some of these. And they fall on other schools like UMAT and others to also assist them in doing the analysis.
Okay. So, this conversation, I think we need to break it down into about 10 parts, yes, because environmental protection, it covers the lands, the waters, everything, because there's so much more to talk about, but all too soon, our time is almost up. We have one more question, then we wrap up. So this one says, what educational programs does the EPA offer to promote water conservation and pollution prevention? This is from Ifwa Aqua in Tema Community 4.
So when you talk of educational programs, currently as we speak, we are even tackling from the basic levels.
Okay.
So we have developed a teacher's handbook, okay, on water pollution, water pollution basically. So they are, and we've organized training for them to be able to use it in the schools. If you tackle them from the basic, because most of the, like I said earlier, is human behavior is part. Our mentality is also killing us. So we are tackling from there. So that book has been developed. It has been distributed to the schools, and the education is ongoing. Then we also do community education. Okay. So most of the mining areas, we organize and then go there. Then tells them the impact. Because most of them, some are suffering with certain diseases. There are serious cases you go, they have disease, but they don't know that it's coming from the water and all those things. So with those ones, we do a lot of educations. We do so much of that. Then the other one, in terms of the education, is radio programs that we do. All the regions, all the regional have at least not less than one radio program on environmental education. Aside the various World Environment Day, World Desertification Day, where we go on radio and make noise about it, we do individual radio program, and people phone in, comes in, and that. So the education is big, but we can't do it alone. It's a collective. Environmental protection is a collective responsibility. You and I, we are the main cause of the pollution. So if we don't bring ourselves together, so we are educating institutions. We are doing, recently we even did education for the industries, bring them together, to ask them, why are you not meeting? Why? What is your problem? So we discuss all this and see how EPA can also help them. Some have genuine reasons. Maybe there is a huge problem with their treatment system, and they are finding it difficult sometimes to even get the part. It means that they have to introduce another system, and sometimes it comes with huge cost, and it's making them feel this thing. But that one is not a guarantee for you to pollute.
Okay. Yes. So do you also engage with the market men and women? Because our markets seem to be one major source of pollution as well.
The market women, we do. Okay? The market we do. What we do is that we go to myself, I've been part of some of these education programs. When you go to Tema Community 1 market, we've been there before. Okay. We did on noise making, we did on water pollution, and then waste management. Okay. So that program, what we're doing is that because we were looking at waste management in relation to water pollution. So we even donated waste bins to them to be able to do it. See that when you segregate the waste, you don't just carry them, go and put them. Most people do burn. Yeah. And the burning, it also pollute the water? Yes. People don't know. It goes into the environment, and when it rains, it comes back. It comes back into the water body, and that's why we have acidic rains and other substances. So,
wow. All too soon, our time is up, but we will definitely have a part 2 of this because there's so much to learn. Yeah. And thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah Abubakar, for joining us today. We hope to see you again very soon. My producer will definitely speak to you. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining hands to make this a success. Thank you so much to the production team, everybody. We hope you have an amazing weekend.